This is a very different kettle of fish. It's 2026. 3 new teams have joined the grid. We've got power unit suppliers swapping teams, and we've got a couple of driver transfers in there for good measure. As we go to 5 red lights. Down under, the Australian Grand Prix is underway. Look at Leclerc go. That Ferrari's a bullet. He now made the move of our own on Verstappen. Hamilton overtakes his new teammate in the final corner. We're going to have the grip. We dive down the inside. We catch Leclerc unawares, and we absolutely do him. We finesse the top 3. Leclerc on the right, Lewis on the left. It's 3 wide, but we're going to manage to just defend and get back ahead of both of them. No! No, no, no! You're kidding me! In the second race only, in our Mercedes, it gives up. Hamilton, lap 29, he's still not pit. He's going to go through to win the Imola Grand Prix, and the gamble's paid off. He's won the race. The tyre temperature issues that plagued us in Spain have returned. Our only hope is to stay in the DRS, and that's going to give us the chance to maybe retake P1. We go down the inside. We've locked up, though. The McLaren turns in, and we've been taken wide as he goes for 3rd place. The high-tech car up into 3rd place. He's actually fully got Valtteri Bottas. Behrman into 3rd place. The two will be side by side now. Oh, what the? What have they done? The 2 race leaders have come together, and they've driven each other onto the grass, and they're both potentially out. Leclerc trying to get into the pit lane, the McLaren trying to get back onto the racing line. What on earth were they doing? Effectively is... Oh, what the? We have just mounted the curb. Oh my God. Lando Norris comes through for his 2nd win of the season, but Toyota absolutely cooking. They get a 2nd podium in 2 races. Oh, it's going to be an interesting run to turn 1. Oh, we've already got a car issue. Really? Verstappen is back to winning ways. Get this overtake done, and get it done by any means as we squeeze through. Russell almost puts us in a wall there. Leclerc's already passed and crossed the line. He's finally done it. He's finally got a race win. And now the Dutchman going for the overtake. Oh, Verstappen's come across and hit us. He swiped across and hit us. He won in Baku, and now he comes through the final couple of corners. It's going to be back-to-back victories for the Scuderia. Back-to-back victories for Charles Leclerc. And I think it may just be the lead of the Drivers' World Championship. Can you believe it?
We need a good result today if we want to catch Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship.
Sainz with a good getaway. Behrman a bit slow on the right-hand side. Perez goes on the outside. Contact made, and we're out. We're out. What? In a flash, we are out of this race. My tyres we're not getting to the end. I've got to let Alonso go. I've got to let him go. I've got to let him go. Verstappen, Lando. Now you're going to think, what on earth am I doing? I'm acting crazy. No, I'm playing 4D chess in my head. We're trying our best. We squeeze Leclerc. Russell on the outside. Oh, he spun it! You useless! And now the puncher comes in. What did I say? We slam into the wall. Leclerc's out the point. But there may be some lady luck on Leclerc's side, because Verstappen is gunning for us and trying to steal this 3rd place. He sends it. Verstappen, aggressive as ever. We're going to stop him making the inside pass, but that doesn't stop the man. He goes round the outside. This car is awful. Like I said, it's one of the worst maxed out cars I've ever driven. As we overtake Leclerc, which should be satisfying. It is satisfying, but the problem is Verstappen has just gained a whole lot more on both me and Charles Leclerc. Verstappen now is in charge of things. He's ahead of Leclerc and myself. Remember, he was 8 points ahead of us, 3 points ahead of Leclerc, so this won't do for either of us, but this will do for the Dutchman. But we're looking to make the move on maybe both of them. Verstappen opens up the door. Oh, there's contact! Contact between Verstappen and Leclerc. We were on the outside. Leclerc dived to the inside, and I think there may have been a bit of contact. I mean, Verstappen was flirting with contact all race long of that corner, but I think it's finally happened. He's got no end plate. On the left-hand side, you could clearly see a lack of an end fence on the left as we maybe try the move on the left. Leclerc shuts the door. We go to the outside as we get up into second place. Lewis is leading. Red Bull have stuck him out long on a one-stop. All of a sudden, I find myself in the last couple of laps here of this race, and my title chances are out of my hands. They're out of Verstappen's hands. And it's all with Lewis Hamilton up ahead. Ironically, Sainz, though, has a run on Leclerc. Dare I say, could the Spaniard maybe overtake Leclerc? If he's pushed down to P4, it would be enough. It would be enough. It's his teammate. They're on for a Constructors' Championship together. Leclerc's on for a Drivers' title as it stands. Sainz was never going to overtake Leclerc. He was never going to get him. As we drive through this final sector, it's not going to be enough. And Charles Leclerc has just come through to win his first F1 World Championship.
Finally!
Yes! 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 Looking back on it, that last season of this career mode series was actually low-key a banger. We had so much action. There was quite a fair bit of drama. And having a three-way Drivers' Championship fight go down to the wire, the last couple of laps where the nerves set in, is always ideal. But as always with Formula One, everything gets reset to zero over the coming winter break here as we transition from 2026 in-game to 2027. We go into a brand new season with Charles Leclerc, a reigning first-time world champion, and Scuderia Ferrari, the Constructors' Champions, for the first time in a very, very long time. And although, yes, at the time, post-Abu Dhabi, immediately, it did feel very hollow to have lost the championship like that, you know, out of my hands, but at the same time, I moved quickly on because I was so ready to wave goodbye to the Silver Arrows. As I said many times in that season, one of the worst near maxed out cars I've ever driven. These are our career stats so far then in the game. We've got one Drivers' Championship to our name, but I'll be hoping to add to that tally in the next upcoming season. And with that, we have an important decision to make. Which team are we going to? And our options, well, they're a little bit limited, as they always have been with F1 24. One of my greatest annoyances with this game is the one, lack of driver transfers, and two, the lack of openness to what team you can move to. I have four options, and two of them are my previous two teams, McLaren and Mercedes. Red Bull, Ford off the table. Aston Martin, Honda, of course, we were having some conversations with them, but ultimately decided not to go with them and agree a pre-contract, and I guess they took that personally as they're not open to negotiations. High-Tech, Haas, Williams, and Audi also out of the question. And you guys know I've already said this, way back at the start of Season 3. I would have loved to have gone, to one of the bottom teams like Audi or Williams and tried to see what we could do at rebuilding them. But unfortunately, with the game, with the way it's set up, our options are basically two-pronged, because there's no way I'm staying with Mercedes, and going back to McLaren doesn't seem like the right fit for my career now at this stage, 3 seasons gone. So looking at Ferrari, of course, they are going to be the reigning Constructors' Champions, so certainly would be maybe a safer bet at the best car possible out of the two picks, but we were just in a very intense championship battle with Leclerc, and would things really be the best fit if we were to become teammates with a man we just fought right to the end for the championship? Maybe not. The only other option is Toyota, and out of the 4 teams available, Toyota is actually the lowest place technically on the R&D chart, so they do look to be the biggest challenge out of the 4 options, and certainly out of the 2 of Ferrari or Toyota. And I have a feeling that Toyota would be a real fan favorite. Obviously, it's great to have them back in Formula One in this series, and I think trying to build them up to be championship contenders would be a real honor. And unlike the other options, if we go to Toyota, I surely will be the driver that has the most recognition in the team, and therefore the ability to actually get all the upgrades possible to try and reach the max potential of this car. So we go into negotiations with Toyota Gazoo Racing. And in terms of our contract, well, obviously going to go just for 1 season because I don't want to, you know, lock myself down in terms of my options going forwards if we were to continue the career mode further and further. But I am going to try and aim high with my rating overall to try and maximize my recognition in this team. We signed the contract and we agree on that I am aiming for 96 overall. If I get there, I think I will be matching Verstappen as the highest rated driver on this grid. And I hope by the end of the season, we'll be fittingly a 2-time world champion maybe with Toyota. So the deal is done, the contract is signed, and I will be with the Japanese outfit for 2027. And this is what the new calendar looks like ahead of us. 16 rounds, of course, as usual, but I've tried to mix it up as much as we can. I mean, you know, I've said it before, but really am, as a content creator, missing the modding tools we used to have to make custom calendars with PC mods, as well as the driver transfers. It does make for a much duller Formula 1 game, and I really long for the actual base game itself to have more customizable options, but we've tried our best. We're going to be starting off this brand new year of Formula 1 at Jeddah for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Should be an explosive first race of the season before then going down under for the Australian Grand Prix. We then fly over to Miami, that returns to the calendar before starting the European portion of the season with Imola, Monaco, and then obviously always that flyaway to Canada in between, and then to Spain, Austria, Great Britain, Belgium to Monza, and then the last flyaways to take us out to Baku, Singapore, Brazil, Portugal, and then we're going to end the season in Las Vegas. So certainly the start and the end of this season is going to be quite different looking compared to the last one in Season 3. In the middle, maybe the same, but I'm sure with the car performances changing, we've got an R&D regulation, a couple of driver transfers, I'm hoping it's still going to be a very unique and different challenge. And it most certainly will for us being in an all-new car of Toyota, a complete unknown to me whatsoever. And with the new Formula 1 team obviously comes a slightly altered base helmet design for the upcoming season. We've still got that base of the fluoro white and black, obviously nodding to Brawn GP and Jenson Button, and even more so is those dragon patterns at the back that I've kept over from last season to this. But now the Toyota badge, loud and proud on the top, and a couple of the team sponsors darted about, and the Gazoo Racing logo as well on the top and the front. And as ever, as I've enjoyed on this game, I'm sure there'll be a couple of unique designs for certain Grand Prix coming up. This will be our base design for the new season, and with that, it is now time to go through the all-new grid and see what driver transfers we have and see what some of the new looks are for some of the teams. But it's not just some of the teams that have a new look, actually, for this upcoming season. It's the tyres as well. There is a new tyre supplier in Formula 1, out with Pirelli and in with Michelin. They will be the new tyre supplier going forwards in this series, and comes with an all-new unknown of how the tyres will perform over the course of race distances. And it's going to be a different look slightly with a different pattern, and it really does actually stand out quite a lot from the off-board cameras, you know, in terms of the way the tyres spin around. So it will be a nice visual change as well as actual performance as well. But now let's get into the different teams. You've already had a little sneak peek actually at the Toyota livery as we now zoom out and unveil my brand new car for Season 4. I will be driving alongside Yuki Tsunoda, of course. Makes sense for the Japanese outfit to maintain having a Japanese driver alongside a one-time world champion, hoping that he can maybe grow into a better driver himself, and I'll be hoping I can, well, utilize him and build this team up to be a championship contender. On the return to Formula 1 last season, they were in black and red, but now donning a much more traditional red, white and black livery Ferrari. And I think this team has a lot of potential, because if you were following along last season, you know, remember, Tsunoda was fighting one of the Ferraris multiple occasions for podium spots, the top 3 spots, you know, especially in the second half of the season. There were so many times where Tsunoda would pop in a really great qualifying time. So there is definitely a bit of, you know, performance to unearth from this team. It just depends on how they've done over the winter break, because of course I've had no say in that. But whatever they've done, it can't be any worse than the Mercedes I was driving, especially in that second half of the season where it just started to lose performance relative to the rest of the grid. One team that will be hoping they haven't lost any relative performance are the reigning world champions, Ferrari. They obviously maintain their incredible lineup of Sainz and Leclerc. They retain their same WEC 499P style livery from last season. Obviously no reason to change the car because it worked so well for them last year. They very much were the, you know, out and out most consistent team. You know, something you don't really say too much with Ferrari in the modern era, but here in the game, yeah, they were honestly overall the best team. Can't deny they deserved to win the Constructors' Championship. I really think we still could have maybe got the Drivers' Championship, but if it had to go to someone, then fair play. A choice of Leclerc or Verstappen, two equally deserving drivers after such a titanic ending to the season. So now it's going to be a case of, what kind of Leclerc are we going to get? You know, the reigning champion Leclerc. Is he going to find another level to his driving here in the game? Only time will tell. Moving over to the team that I left, Mercedes AMG is no more, and it's now Mercedes EQ as they try and push a different brand from within their umbrella, and they have filled the gap that I have left with an outgoing Daniel Ricciardo. We already knew from an email last season that Toyota were going to axe Ricciardo. So really, Mercedes have done him a favor by signing him alongside George Russell, who is going to have one hell of a season to re-energize himself, because he totally wasn't the teammate and driver I thought he was going to be last time out. And he really fell off a massive cliff in terms of performance. It's quite a surprise he's actually still 92 rating, to be honest, if you actually watched that season and saw some of the performances. And that car, even though it's sporting a slightly different look with a lot more baby blue on there, it's going to have to sport a lot more change in terms of performance if it wants to do anything for Mercedes in the championship. A team that has had a complete overhaul of their looks is Hi-Tech GP. They retain Ollie Behrman and Logan Sargent, much to my surprise for Sargent's sake, but also Behrman, to be fair. I think he did enough to warrant a top team, but no, he stayed put. But he is still very much part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, and Ferrari continue their partnership with Hi-Tech and in fact increase their stake in it, with the Ferrari logo now prominent on the engine cover. And you'll notice as well, Behrman's camp have increased their involvement in the sponsorship of Hi-Tech GP. After such an incredible rookie debut season in Formula 1, but a lack of a top drive, they feel the need to plant their feet and try and grow Behrman's profile as much as they can in Formula 1. And so now the Hi-Tech GP team sports a very loud and proud yellow and blue black livery that matches Behrman's helmet colours. And to be fair, Ferrari are probably quite happy because it works really well with the retro Ferrari logo on the engine cover. Hi-Tech GP were a big surprise last season, and they may well continue to be into 2027. But another team that may be looking to be a big surprise and sporting an all-new look are Williams, because BMW have returned to Formula 1, as this team is now once again known as BMW Williams. They have retained their partnership lineup of Alexander Albon and Esteban Ocon, and before they dropped off a cliff at the end of the season, they enjoyed a real bout of performance, points, podiums, pole positions at the Spanish Grand Prix for Alexander Albon at one point. So BMW have come in, they've seen the potential, and they see a return on their investment to partner with Williams once again. It's a retro throwback livery to their old BMW Williams days, but with a slight modern twist, with the slightly higher tone blue from last season and purple accenting the entire thing. Williams will be hoping this season they can actually maintain maintain their levels of performance throughout the 16-round calendar. And the same can be said for Haas, who also enjoyed some good performances at the start of 2026 and then equally dropped off. They now sport a new partnership as Cadillac are another automotive brand entering the sport. The Haas Cadillac team maintain Oscar Piastri and Nico Hülkenberg, which is really actually a low-key, solid lineup for a team like them. And they enjoyed some success at the start of 2026. They'll be hoping to reignite some of that with a technical partnership and a namesake partnership with Cadillac. They're going to have stiff competition, though, I'm sure, from Williams, from High-Tech, from Audi, who are all teams that, you know, went and gone and basically stole Haas's thunder last season. But what this basically means now is I think this midfield that we have in this career mode is going to be even more competitive with now these new brands and new funds coming into the sport. It's just a shame that none of that funding could help Audi secure a better driver lineup. To be fair, they ended last season as the worst team on the grid, and they were in last place in the championship. So you can't blame the AI team for not maybe going for a higher rated signing, as they have dropped Valtteri Bottas and signed Vesti, who is an F2 driver in the game, so he's low down with 75 rating, and that is an incredibly weak lineup for a team, well, a brand like Audi, maybe not the team of Sauber underneath. And to be fair, this maybe does match real life. You know, what we're seeing with the Sauber team underperforming so much, and Audi maybe struggling to really get this team off the ground and get it to where it needs to be. But at least they've, in real life, got a better driver pairing. But in the game, it's going to be struggle town for them, unfortunately. It very much won't be struggle town in the driver department, though, for Red Bull Ford, who maintain their all-conquering star lineup of Max Verstappen alongside Lewis Hamilton. They've got an all-new look for this season, an evolution of the Red Bull Ford branding with the overalls and the car itself. The car started off really strong, then they had a very difficult period where they just got lost on the setup and performance, and then came back very strong at the end, maybe a little bit too late for their Constructors' Championship. Maybe nearly would have been enough for Max Verstappen, so they'll just be hoping they can go into 2027 and find some consistency within themselves, and very funny to say, find consistency that Ferrari were showing last season in order to really maintain a championship level fight all season long. And if they're aiming for that, well, this next team, McLaren, will be looking for even more so, because this once great team really fell off last season with the most yo-yo car ever in terms of performances. You know, going from winning some races to then having a quiet race or a shocking qualifying, back to winning races, another shock qualifying. So they really need to find their footing again in Formula 1 and find some form from seasons 1 and 2. And speaking of season 2, well, you'll notice this livery for this season with McLaren is the Chrome McLaren livery that we ran at the British Grand Prix at our time. This AI team has chosen to retain their driver lineup of Lando Norris and Sergio Perez, and to be fair, if they just find some form with the car, it's still a pretty damn strong pairing in the game. But a lot of this talk about form is really going to come after the question of what are the R&D performances like after the winter break, because we did have an R&D regulation reset, so that is all still to be revealed and to be dissected. But now the final team to go through is Aston Martin Honda, and they, no surprise, still have the same lineup of Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. Lawrence Stroll still bankrolling his son into the sport. They enjoyed a first decent season being powered by Honda power units last time out, but they didn't really quite reach the summit of their performances from season 2. Only time into the new season and look at the R&D chart will tell us where they're going to place and where everyone indeed will place for 2027. And I will keep that R&D chart up in the air and keep you waiting till the first episode of Season 4 to reveal what the pecking order is looking like for these 10 Formula 1 teams. But that has been the pre-season for 2027. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, you're enjoying some of the new liveries, by the way, as usual, links down below to any other mods that I've used from others. Let me know what you make of them, and of course, other things like the Michelin tyre tender and our move to Toyota. If you're around here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time for the start of 2027.